Welcome to another episode of the Raised Aged Wood Chip Alternative Beds, Season 2. We are at probably the same amount of episodes as we did like all of Season 1 now. So we may have double or triple by the end of Season 2. So one of the things I talked about briefly, I think maybe in the last episode, is how we did not do minor plants in our other beds that we set up because we have potential for frost and freezes. In fact, I believe it was like 37 this morning, and we're on bed 1 here for a reason. You know, we have weeds and stuff, some betony and stuff growing here, and a few things that shouldn't be growing here, but what do you not see? Not really sweet potatoes, not really longevity spinach, not really chaya and stuff like that. Here is our chaya, and it's kind of half dead, and I don't know if it's going to come back from the ground. And of course our papayas took a pretty nice hit, even though it looks like it's going to stay alive unless this rot just like flows down all the way to the ground there for some reason. It's like we got a lot of invaders with goosegrass and all this Florida betony. But maybe we need to do some major maintenance here. This? Could that be one of the annual Tithonias, like coming back from the roots there? Kind of looks like it. Be careful, because there is stinging nettles, heart-leafed or heart-shaped stinging nettles right there with the rest. I see some pillatory or whatever, also known as cucumber weed, growing here that we didn't plant. Obviously we did not put like a cardboard bed down when we started building this. This bed was nice and full of all of those minor plants when we ended the season. It was like full of them. And like I said, it's the cold weather that makes us reluctant, I guess, to plant. Even though there is a little bit of a sweet potato. Some of the sweet potatoes will come back. Some of them probably won't, just based on experience. I don't know if the longevity spinach, Suriname spinach, chaya, and the other stuff we planted here will come back. But if it does, it's probably because there is a lot of composting and warming of the roots and earthworms and bacteria and insects all working this stuff as it breaks down. So the soil, the materials here, organic materials, should be warming the roots up and keeping them alive. Suriname spinach is pretty resilient, and even though it'll stress out, a lot of your plants will come back even without protection, it seems. Longevity spinach here is still alive, but see, it stressed out majorly over the freezes and frosts we've had. I've even been thinking about experimenting with perennial peanuts. I know they do not do well in wet weather from what I've read, and there are some people that hate them. They say once you get them established, they won't go away. They're hard to get rid of. But if we're in a wet area and we put it in a bed and it cannot deviate from that bed because it's too wet, once it tries to move, will it be okay like that? Will it stay in the bed? Will it, have a positive effect on the bed, nitrogen fixing and yada yada. So another thing I talked about in probably one of our last videos was trying to do post-mycorrhizal beds in like around our pear trees. This one is not doing the best in the world. The goats probably got, the bark a couple years ago and stressed it out, but it's also in a super wet area, probably a high amount of root density. Now, is it getting some of the mycorrhizal fungi from this raised bed that's right beside of it? Possibly. I don't know. But let's build another little bed around this guy. Cultivar tag of that one. But everything except this pear tree here was unknown, like one that's good for Florida. Probably one of the soft pears. Could have been a hood or something else. Or orient. Pear here is probably like an heirloom pear from like Tennessee, and it has never bloomed for me. Let's go ahead and build our bed around it, see if we can make it happy. We have this pear here which blooms all the time but has never produced a fruit, so it must require a pollinator. Let's see if we can gather some supplies here. I tried to pick this guy up, but it is so dense and heavy. Let's see if we can somehow pick it up. Let's bang it against the tree a few times, but I think we're going to try to make a triangle. Yep, that's it so far. We still got a little bit of dried ferns here. Now when we do our leaves, we're probably not going to do a bunch of one single type. In this small bed, we probably need to maximize the variety because each type of wood, each leaf, harbors different types of fungal activity. Grab some green goldenrods and a little bit of dried grass. Cherry laurel here I'm going to break up and put on the bed. Green oak and elderberry leaves. Got some wax myrtle here. Looks like we got sweet gum, magnolia, some oak, and some even wild grape leaves here. I don't have my rake with me, but I don't need it for this little bed. Camphor. Put some pine needles, pine sticks, looks like some wild muscadine vines, and some dried up dead greenbrier vines. Bunch of old dried up Biden's alba here. Sure they got seeds on them, but that's okay. We're putting them in the ground anyway. Spanish moss, green magnolia leaves, sweet gum bark, and some palm fronds. Yellow tangelo that our goats killed a few years ago. And we'll come back later and put more stuff and make it a little bit more densely packed around it. And when we start breaking buds, we'll start doing some nutrient drenches too. Put a piece of this well-rotted dogwood on it too. See if we can break it a few times. Well, that's good enough. We need to find a few big trunks, tree trunks or whatever, to put around this guy. Will mycorrhizal fungi protect plants from other things other than bacterial root rot? You know, that's definitely a big thing with experimenting with maybe peaches and apples, you know, where humidity issues can cause problems. And aphids, will this fungi, you know, help combat things other than things that are in the roots? Thankfully, we have stuff like YouTube and social media, and, you know, there were garden clubs, you know, locally and probably through the mail in the past, you know, 30, 40, 50 years. But information can be more widespread now with the internet and you know, YouTube, Facebook, or whatever. And people can show their experiments, their failures and their successes off. So hopefully people, you know, 10,000 people don't decide to do the same experiment in the same way. And, you know, that just wastes so much time throughout the years. Let's learn, let's spread our knowledge, spread our, you know, how we do things. Let's spread, you know, the environment, the soil type, everything when we do this. I'm in an acidic swamp muck bordering on swampland, flood zone, you know, southeastern United States, zones somewhere between 8B and 9A. You know, depends, and we've had 8A or so freezes in my lifetime here. Yeah, so much time has been wasted for many pockets of people that aren't connected doing the same experiments, and that's not good. Let's all get together. Let's share our knowledge, whether it be on YouTube, garden clubs, internet, you know, whatever, and let's try to learn from each other, so that we move on 10 times or 100 times faster than, you know, with our knowledge and understanding versus how it was done 40 years ago. Pear tree number 2, first board, or pear tree number 2, first tree trunk down, sweet gum. All right, so we framed it out with 3 sweet gum pieces and 1 unknown, and it already has some kind of slime mold or something growing on it. Some red maple, some more of that rotting dogwood, camphor, pine, palm fronds, possibly some other stuff. Still got a long way to go, it looks like. Cassava stick and a little bit of a dead pear tree. Some of this Thompson pink grapefruit that the goats killed too. We have a little bit more sticks and all to add to this, and a lot of leaves and pine needles and stuff, but we're not going to finish that on this video. Look how pink that Florida betony is. Yeah, that bed is bigger, so we need the rake to rake up leaves and stuff to put on that bed. We're going to start our second bed right next to the Meyer lemon here with the hammock and the big oak tree canopy right there. We started putting some pecan wood down. You can see it's got some fungal growth already. So are we going to do our large mini Tangelo, which may require a slightly bigger bed because it's a bigger size, 5-7 gallons. Hey, is that a Cuban tree frog trying to swim in that aquarium full of water? How about another Dunkin' grapefruit like we planted to replace the Thompson pink here that died from the goats killing it? Or how about we do our pomelo, unknown variety, wider pink flesh variety, that based on what the nursery told us. I suppose we need to make 2 regular or small size beds for the Dunkin' and the pomelo, and then 1 really tall bed for the mini Tangelo. They all need to be under the canopy of an oak tree. This bed here, under this other wetland zone, the wettest area in our yard, is pretty tall. I got some water under my feet, I think. Get rid of this Carolina geranium. Try to put it back in there and see if it kind of dies and composts down. Wow. Not much eating the wheat bran and soybean meal yet. They just haven't penetrated it well. Maybe that would be a good area for the Mineola. So I need to make enough beds or have enough beds available for the other chestnut. So pomelo, Dunkin' grapefruit, and Mineola Tangelo, that's 3. Chestnut is 4. Nectarine is 5. Plum, 6. Apple is 7. Pears, maybe 2. So 9 beds, then the other 2 avocados. So we need to have probably 11 to 15 beds before the end of the season, at least made. Not counting the post-mycorrhizal beds, not counting any perennial vegetable beds like asparagus or anything else, like that long banana bed we made. That's probably going to be for something like that. The bed we started working on with just pine material near the front, near the road, is probably going to be pineapple guavas. So yeah, 11 to 15 beds before the end of the season for all of our major trees. So we have this ready-made bed, you know, where the old cardboard compost system was. That's got a chestnut. It'll probably have some minor plants, maybe some small shrubs around the edge as well.